I mean, when people talk about authority and the fullness, they kind of just limit it to, again, healing the sick and casting out demons. But I mean, you can really create if you have an imagination, and that's what my angel was saying to us. He's going, you only limit yourselves by your imagination.
Wow.
But Jesus says you got to become like a child if you're going to enter the kingdom, and he didn't mean by if you're going to get to heaven. He meant if you're enter the world, you got to become like a child. You got to. So I mean, we've done exercises where we've actually had to change a lot of our thinking. And you know, what would a kid do in this situation? You know, like when we were ideas that we were coming up to torment the demon. We had to go back to the way we would think when we were kids.
Yeah.
You know, I would just say right now there's a B-1 bomber flying over you right now, demon. Uh-oh, it's dropping a bomb. Shoot! And I'd make the sound. I'd make the sound effects. And when I do that, the demon would feel it. I mean, it was funny. And then I would go, right now, demon, you're sitting on an electric chair with 4,000 volts coming in it. And all of a sudden, the demon would go like this and would feel the electricity going through their body. And the person is like tensing up because they're tensing up in the body. And I go, but right now, my friend, who's actually, the demon is using the body. I go, but right now, my friend is actually feeling the joy of the Lord come upon him. And all of a sudden, their countenance changes. My friend's bouncing up and down. He goes, oh, this is fun. The demon's getting fried, and he's feeling the presence of God come upon him.
Wow. Okay, that brings up one question, as far as, because I've heard a long time ago somebody else mention like torturing demons, and so would you say like doing that would help you in future deliverances? It'd be faster, kind of like gain a reputation type thing, if they don't want to be tortured, or what are the dynamics of that?
Some demons have been tortured a lot, and so they can withstand a lot of torture. But everyone can break. It just depends how much endurance you have. Some demons can take a lot of torture, and some can't. Some just will, and they want to get out. I've had demons that literally want to leave, and they literally try to come out of the person's mouth, and I'll grab them and I'll throw them back in. I go, you're not leaving yet because I'm not done with you.
Huh.
I mean, they literally want to come out. I go, no, you're not coming out yet. No, come back. and it's coming out of the person's mouth, and they're going, and I go, and they come back in, and they go back in, and they're like, and the demon looks at me and goes, gets angry because it wants to leave. It wants to get out of there. And I'm like, no. You know, you've been tormenting this person long enough. You're going to get a little bit of the pain right now, and I'm going to get some information out of you before you go. So, you know, it's, I mean, we do have a lot of fun sometimes, and it's the discovery, because you do feel like a kid, you know, doing this stuff. When depending on the situation. I mean, not all of them. Like I said, it depends if the person is going to allow you to do that. I'm not going to go on and do all this torturing stuff to the level that I was doing it with certain people.
Right.
Because, like I said, the person is not in that place, and so I don't want to hurt. I don't want to scare the person.
Yeah.
I just want to get them free. But if we got some extracurricular activity time, then we're gonna use it on the demons. So we want to hone our skills.
Yeah.
You know, do what we can do with our authority. You know, it's funny. I mean, Jesus has shown up, and he didn't. I thought, because there are times I'm going, I wonder if what we're doing is okay, because we're torturing, and Jesus is all about love. You know, but Jesus. There were times he was laughing. He was like cheering us on. You know, and I'm like, not like going, yeah, kill the demon, but he was looking at it. Look at my boys. They're knowing who they are, you know. And I mean, the angels do the same thing. Angels love doing deliverance. I mean, they love sticking their swords in demons. They love it. They love, you know. I mean, sometimes I'll sick the angel on them. I'll go, you can do whatever you want. Grab it. And I mean, just literally, the crap they kick the crap out of the demon. Some way they have their methods.
Earlier you mentioned that one of the demons addressed your angel by name. Just brings up a question out of curiosity. It's probably not very practical, but just have you ever like learned through deliverance or ever encountered like a demon that knew an angel around or had like past experience with them, already knew them, or like way back in the past when before they were fallen?
Okay, the angel that said Zazrael, that son. Okay, we dealt with him the night before, and that's when I was talking to my angel. My angel told me the name of the demon, and so and then he started going in the background. He says, "Yeah, I fought with someone. I can't remember the demon's name. It was some weird name. They have weird names, but." He said, "Yeah, I fought with him over the last 400 years or something like that." And it was almost like what he said to me. He goes, "All I do is I just tickle his nose." That's what he told me to do. He goes, and he was joking, but actually, no, I did tickle his nose, and it really pissed off the demon. I don't know if when I tickled the nose, the angel was doing something to aggravate the demon more, but it was more of an insult to injury. It was more insulting because the demons do have a lot of pride, and you can talk trash to them in different ways, and that will really hurt them. Talking trash, like just reminding them about their failures and things like that. I do what they do to the people sometimes.
Yeah.
You guys are lost, I mean, you actually lost. I go, you guys think that you may try to get back into heaven or try to do this, but actually there's so many Christians rising up, and they're starting to move in signs and wonders, and they're starting to know who they are, and they're not afraid of you guys anymore. And all of a sudden, they're like, I've seen the countenance of some of them change just to get really discouraged when they start doing that. Because, yeah, they'll think. But yeah, my angel had talked with him. He fought with them for like the last 400 years, this certain particular demon, and he goes, he's well known, and the demon didn't say anything, didn't confirm that, but that's what my angel said about him. Like they picked on each other, like they fought each other a lot. They're well acquainted with each other.
I think the common belief is like you can't ever kill one. You can cast it out, but it can always go somewhere else. Like, does your experience confirm that, or like have you ever? You mentioned like angels stabbing them with swords. Have you ever like been able to completely get rid of one or kill it or lock it up where it can't ever enter anyone else?
No, they don't. They won't die. What you do when you cast them out, I make sure that I send them either to two places. I send them to hell, to the pit, and have an angel grab them and take them, or I'll send them to the feet of Jesus to get judged. And I think what happens when they go to Jesus, I think they take them into a place of a holding place until the day of judgment. I think that's what happens. That's what I've heard from other people. But I haven't encountered, after I've cast a demon out and send them to one of these places, I haven't, because if you send them to hell too, they'll get tortured by other demons for failing their mission. So a lot of times they would rather go to Jesus. I'll give them a choice. What do you want, feet of Satan or feet of Jesus? Jesus, please. Because he'll give them at least a little bit more mercy.
What are some common signs that somebody might have one, or even yourself? Like, for example, for me personally, I've probably like 2.5 years ago, I first really encountered the Holy Spirit and found out that about the supernatural, things like that. Before, I was kind of a church-going Christian my whole life, but was unaware of the spiritual reality. And so I've seen like people get drunk in the Spirit and stuff, but 2.5 years in, I've still never experienced that really, like being drunk in the Spirit, things like that. And like it hasn't been a big issue with me. I'm not like all upset about it. But is there a possibility that like a demonic thing can prevent that or stop that? Or
it's possible, but not typically. Because I mean, I've seen that happen with many people, and that wasn't the issue. Like for me, I didn't feel the presence of God while being drunk for like 10 years. And I always wanted it, and I'd pray for people, and they would get it.
Right.
I wouldn't feel it. I'd pray over them. They'd feel fire come out of me when I'd pray over them, or they get slain in the Spirit, and they feel drunk and all that. I wouldn't feel a thing. For me, it happened when I went to my buddy's church one time, and one guy just gets tossed all the time, and he prayed over me, and I didn't feel anything when he prayed over me, and then like a couple of days later when I came out of the shower, I came out, and all of a sudden I just started feeling heavy, and I just couldn't stand anymore. I just fell on the bed, and I'm like, I can't even get up. And then I walk into the room, I see my girlfriend there, I sit down on the couch, and I go, man, the Spirit of the Lord's on me right now, heavy. And she just looks at me, and she just falls over and starts laughing. It jumps on her. And so ever since then, I started feeling it. Yeah. Sometimes I heard Graham Cook, he talks about hiddenness and manifestation. And when he first came to the Lord, he felt the presence of God on him like all the time. And then like after a year or something, he just noticed that I was gone. And he was going, oh my gosh, he thought something was really bad. And so he's wondering, he's feeling suicidal. He's like, because that's all he knew of the Lord. He thought there was sin in his life. Thought there was something going on. And so he was just scared. And then one day he walks into a bar and he sees a priest there. And he goes over to the priest and he goes, maybe I can get help from the priest. And then he starts telling the priest his whole story. And about how he feel God and now he doesn't feel it anymore. And he thought maybe that God pulled away from him. And the priest leans back and he goes, oh, you're talking about hiddenness. And the priest goes, whoa. And then the priest just tells him how God hides. But he's right next to you. And so he's just all ears listening. So when he's done, they come out of the bar, and then the priest gets in the car and drives off. And then he turns around and looks back, and the car's gone. So it wasn't a priest.
Yeah.
So God had taught him, was teaching him throughout his years and then the presence of God came back. And then there were times later on in the future where it would go away. And what God was teaching him, that he would hide at times because he wanted him, and the Lord told him, I want to hide because there are places in the Spirit that I want to take you, but you can't go there unless you learn how to walk by faith, not by feeling.
Right. So
there is that level of where you got to believe that he's next to you just as much as he is when you actually feel him, and separate the difference between faith and feelings.
Right.
And that's how you will move in more miracles when you can believe even though you don't feel. Like I know stuff comes out of me when I pray for people. Mm-hmm. I know that when I pray for people, when I throw a fireball, something's coming off of my hand. I can't see it and feel it, but I know it is. Some people can feel it when they throw it off their hand, but I know it is for me. And I see the effect when it hits somebody. So that's just by faith. I mean, faith is everything.
That's kind of what my thinking has been anyway. Like, I mean, pray for people, see people healed and stuff, never really feel anything, but I'm like, always been like, that's okay. I believe it anyways.
Yeah.
But I'm always curious. Yeah. But that's a good explanation of it.
Yeah, because it's, and he says it's seasons. Like for my season was 10 years. So it doesn't always stay the same where you don't never feel. But I mean, like Chris Valentin, he doesn't feel anything.
Huh.
Pray over him. It just, but it's not always going to be that way with everybody. I mean, you just go into seasons sometimes. So I love praying for people, and I love getting them whacked. And sometimes I'm going to feel the presence of God on me. But I really, if I'm not getting it, I'm not going to get jealous. I'm just going, hey, well, I'm going to get you whacked then. I'm going to pray over you.